This watch is a Seiko 1959 Alpinist. It's the reissue that they did back, I think, around 2017 or 2018, 2019. I can't remember exactly what year these came out, but I bought this last year as a new old stock watch. And this is just a beautiful design. I love how it looks. It's a late 1950s design. The only big difference is the originals were a little bit smaller. This one is a 38 millimeter case, and the originals, I think, were 35 millimeter. I wish this were that small because I have small wrists and it would fit me better, but it's still a beautiful design. I love the dial. This is the brown version of it it's got kind of a pattern that looks like little woven cords running through it. And they also made it in the original black and white designs that were made back in the 50s, if you want one that's even more authentic to the originals. Now, the problem with this watch is that it's never been really terribly accurate. When I bought it, it was running about plus 15 seconds a day in the dial-up position, and that wasn't acceptable to me, and so I regulated it down to where it was running at around 5 seconds a day. And back then I didn't know how to service a watch. I was still just starting my learning on watchmaking, and the only thing I really knew how to do was just basic adjustments for the timing. Well, later I bought a watch winder, and I put this on it so that it would stay wound even on the days when I wasn't wearing it, because I have several other automatic watches I wear too. And I noticed on the watch winder that this watch didn't keep very good time. It was accurate when I just had it sitting on the desk, not wearing it. But when I had it on the winder, after a couple of days of being on there, it would be off by a few minutes. It would be slow by a few minutes. It was losing time. And so after I got a time grapher, I was able to put it on the time grapher and see what the actual results with it were. And it turned out that here's the results I got with it today when I put it on before I did this repair. It was running at plus 10 seconds a day in the dial-up position. And then in the vertical positions, like the crown up, crown down, crown left, and crown right positions, the timing varied. Each position was a little bit different, but it varied between negative 30 seconds a day and negative 75 seconds a day. That's why it was so bad on the watch winder, because the watch winder holds the watch vertically in order to wind it. And so on the watch winder, it was always in the vertical positions, which were always losing a lot of time. And so I wanted to correct that. And correcting that on an older watch is very, very difficult. But on a more modern watch like this one, it's still not an easy thing to do, but it's a lot more doable. And so I'm going to show you how I corrected that now, because right now I've got this running at plus 4 seconds a day in the dial-up position and negative 4 seconds a day in the vertical positions. And it's staying consistent with all the vertical positions. No matter which one, it's still running at negative 4 seconds per day. So I'm going to show you how I did that. If you look at the balance wheel, you'll see the regulator system has two levers sticking out from it, one here and one here. This lever carries the hairspring stud, and by rotating it, you change the bead error. This one over here carries the regulator pins. And the regulator pins are on the bottom of that lever, so you can't see them from the top here. But the hairspring runs in between those pins. And you can imagine it like this. Imagine that my tweezers here were the regulator pins, and this is the hairspring. And so by moving the pins, by rotating the pins like that, it changes the effective length of the hairspring, because the hairspring vibrates against those when the watch is running. And so by changing where the pins are at, rotating it around the balance cock, you change the effective length of the hairspring, which makes the watch run faster or slower. And most of us are familiar with that. Everybody's regulated a watch by moving the position of the regulator pins like that to make it run faster or slower. But that doesn't change the watch's performance in different positions. That allows you only to regulate it in a single position. One of the things that causes positional variance, and there's other things that can cause it too, things like not having the watch properly lubricated could cause positional variances. A balance wheel that's not properly poised can do it. There's a lot of things that can cause positional variances, but one thing that can be adjusted easily is the distance that the regulator pins are apart from each other, the width of the regulator pins. If you imagine my tweezers are the regulator pins, on older watches you can squeeze them or move them apart manually using tweezers or an oiler or some other instrument you can stick in there to move them. And you can adjust the width of them. And on newer watches like the Seiko, they're mounted on a rotating carrier, so that by rotating the carrier, you change the effective width of it. See, by rotating here, they look like they're getting closer together, and by rotating it this way, they go further apart. And that makes it a lot easier to adjust that, because the width of the regulator pins can be adjusted to account for some positional variances. Ideally, you want the regulator pins to be very close together, but not so close together that they're actually squeezing the hairspring. You don't want the hairspring touching them. When the watch isn't running, you want the hairspring to be between the regulator pins, but not touching them. And you want just a tiny amount of space on each side of the hairspring, about the width of the hairspring on each side separating it from each regulator pen. If the regulator pens are too far apart, it will cause the watch to run slower in the vertical positions, which is the issue that I had. So they need to be moved closer together, which meant rotating the carrier for them in a way that would cause them to be closer together. Because this watch is a modern watch, it uses that system. That system that has the rotating carrier for the regulator pens is called an EtaChron system, EtaChron, because it was invented by ETA, the Swiss movement manufacturer, but a lot of other companies use it too. Seiko does on their watches, and ETA does, Sellita does. Almost all modern watches use that sort of a system. And so if we look at it up close here, we can see that gold-colored stud there on the lever that carries the regulator pens. It's kind of rectangular, but it has rounded ends, and you can see that it's kind of sitting at an angle right now because it's been rotated some to make that adjustment. And to make that adjustment, there's a special tool that's made for that. This is called an EtaChron tool, and you can see that the end of it is shaped to fit over that stud that turns to adjust the regulator pens. And the tool itself looks like a screwdriver. It's got a handle with the bit sticking out on the end that has that cut out in the end. And this is made by Bergion. I think that Horatech and other companies make a similar tool. And it's really convenient because the end of it just slips right over that shaped stud there, and then you can rotate it like a screwdriver. And you rotate it on the Seiko watch. You rotate it counterclockwise to close the pens to make them closer together, and you rotate it clockwise to open them to make them further apart. Because you don't want them so close together that they're actually squeezing the hairspring. If you do that, you can damage the hairspring, especially if you tighten it that tight and then try to move the regulators back and forth to adjust the timing. You can damage the hairspring. So you do want to make sure that they're not actually touching the hairspring. But I gave this a very, very slight counterclockwise turn to tighten them just a little bit, and it's a very subtle amount. You don't want to turn it so far that you're actually seeing it turn most of the time, unless they're really, really far apart and needs a big adjustment, but that's probably not going to be something you're going to see. So I gave it a very slight turn, and that closed the regulator pens a little bit, and then I put it back on the time grapher, and doing that messed up the timing and the beat error, so I had to adjust those things again. The beat error had been running at about 0.5 milliseconds, which was too high. I wanted to fix that anyway. Well, after I made the change to the regulator pen stud, the beat error went up to something like 1.5 milliseconds, and the watch's rate went to something like plus 150 seconds a day in the dial-up position. And so I then made adjustments to the position of the hairspring stud lever and the regulator pen's lever to get the beat error and the rate corrected. And after doing multiple adjustments to get it fine-tuned to where I wanted it, I've got it now to where it's running with a beat error of 0.2 milliseconds, which is excellent. And then in the dial-up position, it's running at plus 4 seconds a day. And in the vertical positions, all the vertical positions are giving the same reading now of minus 4 seconds a day. So we've gone from having plus 10 seconds a day in the dial-up position and vertical positions as bad as negative 75 seconds a day. Now we've reduced that to where it's plus 4 seconds a day and minus 4 seconds a day at the two extremes. And that's really good for a fairly inexpensive mass-produced movement like this. So it's probably possible to get it adjusted even more carefully, but I'm not going to mess with it anymore because I'm afraid I'll screw something up if I keep trying to turn that regulator pen stud and mess with it anymore. And it's also possible too that some of the variance that I'm seeing could be caused by things like poor lubrication and such. I know these Seiko movements have a reputation for often being not properly lubricated at the factory, and this watch has never been serviced. I haven't torn it down and actually done a full service on it because I bought the watch new last year. So it's possible the positional variance I'm seeing now, the very small amount that's still left in there, could be caused by something other than the adjustment of the regulator pen stud. So I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to be happy with this. I think it should be a lot more accurate than it was before, and this is one of the more advanced things that you can do with regulating a watch is making this adjustment, and it's the first time I've ever done it, so I'm really happy with how it turned out. But you will need to get that special tool if you want to do it. I know there's some people that use tweezers or other tools to try to turn that carrier for the regulator pens, but it's so tiny that I think that if you try to use tweezers or anything else, there's a possibility of it slipping off and having your tool hit your hairspring and mess it up or whatever. So this tool from Bergion was expensive for what it is. It cost $50, but I think it was worth the money. And you can use this for all kinds of watches. It's not just a Seiko watch. This will work with any watch that has a Seiko movement, an ETA movement, a Sellita movement. Pretty much all modern movements use the EtaChron regulator system now. But the only ones I can think of that don't are Vostok watches. They still use fixed regulator pens that can't be rotated to adjust them. And so on those, if you want to make that adjustment, you would have to physically squeeze them together or pry them apart using tweezers or screwdrivers or whatever to pry it or squeeze them together. And that's a much more difficult system because you run the risk of breaking them or messing them up by doing that. The EtaChron system, where you can just turn the top of the stud that carries the regulator pins, is so much easier. And like I said, almost every watch made today uses that kind of a system, except the Vostoks are the only ones I've seen so far that don't. Unfortunately, older watches don't have that either. Older watches have the fixed regulator pins too, like the Vostok watches do. Probably anything made before about 1970, you're not going to be able to do this with either. But if you're working on a modern watch, this makes it so much easier to fix positional variances. It's been 24 hours since I finished regulating the watch, and during that time, it spent some time on the watch winder and it spent some time on my wrist. It was on the winder for about 8 or 9 hours or so while I slept and did other stuff, and then the rest of the day the rest of the time in that last 24 hours it's been on my wrist as I've been wearing it. And in that time it has gained 1 second from the combination of being on the winder and being on my wrist. That is exceptionally good. That is so much better than it was before, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. This has been an interesting experience. It's the very first time I've ever tried to do any kind of regulation that was that advanced, and I'm really pleased with how this turned out. So this is a watch I'm going to start wearing quite often because I really wasn't wearing it before because it wasn't regulated. It was so badly regulated. And this is a watch that I think is going to be in my rotation quite a bit more often now because I love the design. I think it's just an absolutely gorgeous dial. I just didn't like the fact that it was so inaccurate before.